if you're ready to go.
I'm ready.
She's ready to go. Perfect. Okay, great. Public comment, no one public. Additional items to the agenda, anyone? We good? Okay. Review and approve the minutes from the February 9th meeting. Would anyone like to approve those minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
Second.
And second, all those in favor? Okay, the minutes are approved. Correspondence, no official correspondence, although we did get a Vermont Land Trust Winter 2003 flyer.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested, they have some, like, it looks like there's like some events coming up and some information there. If anyone wants to look at that. Great. So Noel, oh wait, sorry. Correspondence on the old business. So Conservation Commission membership, we have more to do under this than usual. So we still have one seat open for a Bristol resident. I put a front porch forum post up on March 6th for that spot. But you may be noticing it's one spot. So Noelle does want to join. I expected her to be here this evening, but she doesn't seem to be. But that's okay. Maybe she'll show up or maybe not. But I told her she was welcome to join. She just can't vote, but we'd love to hear from her. So that's the plan there. The select board will be chatting with her on the 13th, which is Monday. So yeah, she said she was going to be able to attend that meeting with the select board, and I'll try to drop in on Zoom on that too, just in case. I don't know what they would need me for, but just be polite mostly. So that's the plan there. So she wants to join. I'm surprised she's not here, but whatever. I'm sure she's busy. Okay, and then the that leads us to the annual meeting and the election of leadership roles. And a couple things. One thing I want to talk about is the clerk duty. Is that Ian Elbison has been posting our minutes on Front Porch Forum for a year or two, and he would like to step away from that responsibility. He really is a big fan of having transparency, and he really wants it to be on Front Porch Forum, but doesn't want to like keep doing it for every commission. So I suggested that maybe the town clerk could do that, and he has suggested that maybe we could do it, and I was sort of like, well, I'll see if maybe we could roll that into something our clerk does, or maybe not, if we want to push back and say that Sharon or the clerk of Bristol should do it. So I don't know, or we don't have to have it on Front Porch Forum, frankly. Like, it's, if we want it up there, we are fully warned the meeting. I sent it to Sharon 2 days in advance, and she gets it and puts it on the board and then puts it on the website. So it is available, but it seems nice to have it on Front Porch Forum, but like not necessary. And so like
The minutes or the agenda?
I'm sorry, the agenda. I'm sorry if I screwed that up. I meant the agenda. Yeah, so that's the plan, and it's been on there for the last year or two, but we don't have to continue it either. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I like the fact.
I mean, I don't look at it on Front Porch Forum because I see it here, so I don't know if other people care to look at it, you know?
Yes.
It does put it right in front of people's faces should they find something on there that they do want to talk about, I suppose.
Which might bring people public to our meetings.
It certainly shows that we're busy and doing things. There's just like one more thing we have to do. So like, I don't know. Like, I kind of wish that we could just ask the Bristol clerk to just do it when they're doing other things, but I don't know what that workload is like. So I don't know.
But is it really one more thing to do? It sounds as though you, Carolyn, probably draft the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And then you send it to Ian?
No, when I send it to you all, that's always copied to Sharon and Ian. When I say final agenda, that email just always, it autofills even with Ian at the select board email, and then the clerk / Sharon. And so then they just do it. So yeah. So it's just like an extra thing. And so I wasn't sure if that was something we cared about or not, right? In terms of like workload and time and stuff, like just one more thing, but I wasn't sure what you thought about dealing with that.
If I continue to be clerk, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a good job for me.
No one wants you to do it.
Okay, well, maybe we'll roll it into the
Give me
clerk
three
as,
reminders a
how
day
about we
about
say the clerk can do it as they're able? How would that be? Like, if you forget, it's not a legal thing, like the
Have a baby that
Sharon.
day.
This was right, the Sharon,
Because
the town clerk part is like the open meeting law portion. This is like a, because we are nice people version, right? This isn't
Okay.
like because we value transparency. It's not because we are required to do it. The Sharon town clerk aspect is the required to do it part.
Mhm.
So.
Is there a time before the meeting that is ideal, like a amount of time before, at least a day or two?
It's supposed to be, so basically what happens is when I send that email, then I think Sharon takes the agenda and she just posts it over like the old one on the town homepage. And I think she prints it and puts it somewhere, but with COVID, I don't know if she still does it or not. And that's the open meeting law portion. And then the front porch forum post would just be like selecting the text and like pasting it into a front porch forum post. Yeah. Like when you see that email come out, I guess. But again, like it's again because we value transparency, not because we have to. So. Okay, cool. So then that leads us to others. Oh, Kristen, did you want to renew? I think you're up for renewal.
I was contemplating stepping down, actually.
Like
but
forever.
I do feel badly that there's a couple of town management plans that are kind of still in the works. So I certainly would volunteer to finish those out and provide them to you all to, continue discussing and voting on and stuff like that. But I think if the renewal is for 3 years, I would not like to renew.
Would you want to renew and know that you'll step down because no one ever seems to care about their term limit anyway? Like, would you want to stay for like a year or like 3 months or like, I don't know what you're thinking. Or like you're just like done as of today. You're like, I'm over it. Which is okay. That's totally allowed.
I certainly could do 1 year. I can't imagine doing 3, but I could do 1 year as long as that doesn't throw a wrench in the works as far as the staggering of the roles that we tried to accommodate or accomplish.
Yeah. I think right now what we've been doing, the way it's listed is we have it staggered in, and we've just been keeping a vacant spot listed so we don't lose any of them. So this is on page 15 of the town report if you have it, or it's on our website. So we just have been holding on this vacant so we don't forget that those exist with the right timeline. But whatever you prefer is fine, yeah.
I think in the email that I received from Valerie, our 2 vacant positions also expire today.
Yes.
So
yeah, so Noelle,
we'd have 3 that would expire, I guess. Yeah.
When Noelle joins on Monday, she would be in one of those spots though.
Pick up one of those. Cool.
She'd pick one of those up. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, no, whatever you choose to do would be fine. I feel like people seldom, if you feel like you have things that are unfinished that you want to do, certainly I would be fine with you just renewing and stepping down in a few months or a year. But like if you think that you have done what you need to do, you've been on the commission for a long time, that's fine too.
Yeah, I can finish out the 2 plans that are in the works and steward those through, and then that shouldn't take more than a few months.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we would certainly value your guidance on those. And like wrapping up some things like the FEMA work that you've done, like no one knows anything about that except you, right? So like it would be nice to like hand that off so we would know what's going on.
Yep.
That would be really nice if we could have that.
Sure.
Okay. Well, that is a tremendous loss, but I'm sure you have other things to focus on. So
I think everything is well in hand.
Okay, so that takes us to the leadership rules, and that would be the clerk and the chair, and then I've really liked having a vice chair. We don't have to have a vice chair, but I think that that's something that's really useful, so that if the chair is out for any reason, someone else is there to run the meeting, and also just to have eyes on things. When you go, is this right? Is this legal? You can have someone else chime in. Has been really helpful. And I know that was a spot that comes and goes depending on if people want to fill that role, but I think it's been really useful to have that with Kristen the last couple of years. So I would recommend we keep that, but it's not something we're required to keep. So, I don't even know what order we should, what was that?
What position shall we vote Jono into since he's absent?
Oh my gosh, not
He'll
clerk.
take over all those things you were doing.
Right. Sounds good.
Like, when Jono takes notes of the meeting, he has the back of a used envelope that he scratches on. I just can't imagine that'd be a good fit, you know? And I'm happy to step down as chair if someone else wants to take over. That would be fine too. If someone wants to lead, I would be happy to do that. It's a bunch of work making agendas and stuff, and I'm happy if someone else wants to do that too. So, Nancy's just shaking her head in horror, like, no. So anyhow, so if we wanted to vote in any order, does anyone want to throw a job or a name or anything? Anyone?
I nominate
Helen wants to nominate someone.
Carolyn to continue as chair.
Second.
We can't lose
Yes.
Kristen and lose chair at the same time. We will be rudderless.
I know.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay, there was a second. All
Second.
those in favor? Okay. Thank you. The ayes have it. I will continue as chair.
Well, Carolyn, I don't think that just because you're nominated, you have to accept the nomination.
No,
If you
no.
truly don't
I'm
want
happy
do
to
it.
help. I want to make sure that if someone else wants to do it, they should do it. That's all. But if no one else wants to do it, then I'm happy to do it. It's fine. I just don't want to like hog it, you know. All the agenda.
I feel like you're hogging it.
No, that's fine. Would anyone like to be vice chair? Would anyone like to self-nominate a vice chair or nominate someone else? Or we can dissolve the position. I really like to have that though. I'm definitely gonna miss several or all the summer ones, depending on my travel schedule. So we often cancel in August anyway. July, I'll probably be out of town, but I might, but depending if we're outside or not, I'll have to be on Zoom. I don't know. The point is, we have to at least miss August. I'll miss at least 2 in summer, so someone can run that meeting. But I can write the agenda still. So has to write them. But Helen has a lot of experience running a room.
And knowledge.
So, and knowledge, yeah, and experience.
Overall presence.
I've never hosted a Zoom meeting, and it's not always easy for me to get up to Bristol. So if that's required, I don't think I should do it.
I'm more worried about the in-person summer ones. Because on Zoom, I could do a Zoom from anywhere, but I can't do, if we meet in person and I'm out of town, I can't I do an in-person one if I'm somewhere else. But mostly it's just nice to have I think it's nice for just having eyes on documents and like being involved when things are more formal or more is asked of us from different committees and things. Like that's when I think that comes really, that's why it's nice to have like a backup person to talk to, and I have to deal with things I'm out of my comfort zone on. I think you'd be good at that, but you don't have to, of course. We don't have to have someone do it.
Well, I'm new to this committee, and I don't know the runnings. I don't know the inner workings. I don't know what to look for in a document to see if it's going to pass muster. I mean,
yeah, we could just dissolve that position if we wanted. That's fine. And then like whoever's available, if I miss a meeting, whoever's available can run it, or the clerk can run it, or whatever. We could ask Jono to fill that if we wanted next meeting. If we can vote him in with he's not here, I don't know what the rules are on that. He's certainly been on the commission next longest after Kristen and I.
We could ask him next meeting if he would like to serve in that role.
Okay, I'll make a note that we should ask him next meeting for that. Okay, great. And then should we talk about the clerk? Would you?
I'm
would you
happy
do
to
it?
continue.
Okay.
I'm happy to have anyone else do it. Doesn't,
You are doing great.
whatever.
You're doing a
If
fantastic
anyone
job.
is interested, by all means.
I'll hold the baby while you take notes.
Yeah. That's true. There may be some this summer that are gonna be tricky, but,
Nancy, could you be like the unofficial backup clerk for when she's having a baby and stuff? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I told her I'd hold the baby.
You're so helpful.
Not like we have anyone else to do it, but
Seems like you're good at it.
yes.
Okay, so all those in favor of Zaylee being the, oh no, first, does anyone second or nominate? Wait, what are we doing now?
Is-
Can you
Well,
nominate
nominate
yourself?
You're nominated, Zary.
I'll second.
You're gonna second.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of Zaylee being the clerk? Aye, the ayes have it. It passes that you're the clerk. Okay, and then
Wait, who seconded it? You seconded.
she
I
seconded it, yeah. Okay, great. And I really hope Noelle joins because that'll be another good person. We won't have so many vacancies at the same time. We should be doing our own welcome back. Okay, great.
We can put
So
a push out there on Green Up Day.
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that I think is all the roles, and we'll see if Jonna would be interested in serving as vice chair next month. Great. Or he's watching this video. It's coming. Okay, so that's that. How do we feel about updating wildlife maps? We move on, or is there anything else to say about that agenda item?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
meeting,
yes.
I'm meeting with Sophie and Lauren tomorrow morning to start driving around Bristol, looking for sign of wildlife. And then Alexis will replace me in the afternoon.
Awesome.
So
I'm so glad the
That's
weather's
our day.
cooperating, and that's gonna be so
That's
cool.
exciting.
Yeah, that's gonna be amazing. So,
Just moving along.
yeah, it is. Should we have elected a treasurer?
We don't have one.
We don't usually have one, right? Okay, just want to make
No.
sure, sorry. Okay, I
Because
suddenly was like,
because there's-
uh-oh.
Only this much budget.
We like to make
Okay,
money.
good point. Okay, so update wildlife map. Sorry to backtrack. Yeah, I'm so happy that's going to happen, and I have updates from Lauren to read to everyone. So, as you may recall, Lauren is our student at Middlebury College who's working with Dr. Mikhailo this semester, and she says, "Here's a rough list of what I've been working on so far." She started only 3 weeks ago. So. She studied the 2020 Bristol Town Plan for relevant information / maps and existing studies of Bristol wildlife, contacted Andrew LaRoe for studies and data of Bristol wildlife and examples from other towns, and he's at the Addison County Regional Planning Commission, for anyone who doesn't know. She met with Professor Monica Peretzahart to talk about ideas and methods of the study. And Monica, she knows all over this area, and I think she was working with Sophie until very recently, so she knows all that kind of stuff. She will be joining Sophie on Friday for field wildlife tracking. She has contacted Professor Jeff Howarth about GIS data of wildlife corridors for Bristol, which his conservation planning class is working on, and apparently he was pretty excited about the prospect. So that's going to be a really nice avenue to continue thinking about. She submitted budgets for research grants for equipment and communication materials for the project. I think she was going to maybe think about getting some kind of gear to measure bats, which could be pretty cool. She might do that sycamore park. That's the unofficial version that I heard was for bats. Because they already have so much other material that Alexis Mikhailo already has in her lab. So because she has just bins full of these game cams. So I thought maybe that would be a new thing that they could buy with her money for her budget from her project. They're going to plan a spring symposium poster for this study. So that's going to be at the beginning, I think, of April. There's a spring symposium day on campus where they put up posters and people talk and stuff. So that'll be a deliverable she'll make. Maybe we can put a copy of her poster on our website if we wanted. And then she's also contacted the Watershed Center about if they have any information as well. She says, here are some of my next steps. Pulling down GBIF data to research grade wildlife sightings in Bristol for more data. She's going to contact UVM for specimens and looking into the historical diversity of Bristol wildlife. I didn't even think of that. That's cool. And that's Alexis does a lot with museum stuff, so I'm sure that's her influence there and expertise. Create a resource map of stakeholders and informational sources, organizations, and how they're connected. Conduct a literature review of wildlife connectivity. Identify key species of focus and how scientists have studied their corridors. Synthesize academic findings to meet the needs of the BCC. I hope this helps, and I'm happy to elaborate on anything that doesn't make sense. Thanks, Lauren. And then she wrote me another email of things she hopes to ask us. So if there's any comments about what I just read, and then I can read the questions she has. Yeah, right? I was like, sounds good. Keep up. Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work.
She says, hi, Professor Dash. I met with Monica yesterday and we talked a bit about clarifying some of the goals of the BCC with this project so far so I can best help moving forward. I was wondering if you would be able to bring these questions to the BCC and you could discuss them. What is the BCC hoping to do with the results from this study? Adjust town plans or bylaws, building regulations to preserve corridors, subdivision regulations, or just curiosity and goals still in the works? She also wants to know what wildlife is the BCC interested, specific species, different species require different methods. Tracking in the winter biases towards animals that are active in winter, missing hibernating species like bears. Are there other methods the BCC is interested in to noting wildlife corridors in spring/summer? Thanks again.
Wow.
It's too thoughtful. We haven't thought of any of these problems. So I sent her that list of goals that we had generated in December as a place that she could maybe start. And I was thinking maybe Helen, maybe tomorrow when you're out with Sophie and Lauren, that's a good chance to think about some of these things and to get that, get some of those ideas flowing when you sort of have the boots on the ground and think about like, what can we get out of this? Like what species does Sophie think are good or interesting or useful or other methods we could think about, like just some brain picking with all three groups together for that day could be really useful, I think.
But I think her first question is quite relevant, and we have talked about it, which is what are we going to do with this information? Do we hope to just update the map, or are we hoping that it will influence subdivision, development, building, sharing it with the Planning Commission? I mean, we really haven't talked about.
We talked. One.
I was just going to say that when we earlier asked whether the Planning Commission had plans for applying for a municipal planning grant, just so that we wouldn't cross paths with them, because only one application could come from our town. Kevin at the time indicated that if we had thoughts about how this data should be used in zoning or in planning, that they would encourage us to have a joint meeting or come to one of their meetings with that information. And so I think that's important to remember, is that us as a conservation commission, we can advise and we can suggest, but we really don't have the power to change zoning or planning. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at our wildlife project priorities from December 22nd that we drafted and discussed. And we have a bunch about education, community involvement, results dissemination, but in terms of like an endpoint with the town itself, we say identify which are the most important habitats or corridors in Bristol and focus on which are the most at risk for development, invasives, climate change, etc., and collaborate with the Planning Commission /zoning to decide next steps to protect these areas of concern. It's sort of like our last biggest goal for that. But mostly we've had on here to update the maps and then move into like more community connection outreach with various education, involvement, dissemination. And that was sort of where we left off, was like something with that.
I don't know if this maybe is what you mean by community, education, dissemination, but the idea of having like some way of sharing this information with new landowners would be obviously, again, we don't have any power to tell people what to do with their land, but it might be very interesting information for folks that buy property here that is,
I agree.
especially as more and more land becomes available up in the mountains particularly, people are gonna have a say in what what happens to habitats up there, and it might be very interesting for them. It might be very useful information to have a sense of what's going on their new property.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, nothing we generate is going to be so comprehensive that at like a micro level, somebody who buys 50 acres, probably haven't looked at their 50 acres, but it might be useful to for them to have a sort of general sense of like how the landscape around here works, and maybe it informs their decisions.
Yes, under community connection outreach, we've listed community involvement would include work with community members, especially including hunters, trappers, trackers, to work on citizen science data gathering and contribute to local ecological knowledge surveys. Community created wildlife distribution maps, liaise with hunters, and then we have education equals community workshops, training sessions, and results dissemination. We say education materials for adult/student education at schools or library. On our results, perhaps give our results to 4 Winds for the BES curriculum. Give copies of our results to the select board and all town commissions, maybe surrounding towns and not-for-profits such as Lewis Creek Association, New Haven River Anglers, etc. Incorporate our results in the next town plan.
Does Lauren
But I
have a
think that-
copy of that document?
What was that?
Does Lauren have a copy of the document
Yes.
that you read?
Yes. Yeah, she has a copy of that, and then I also sent that to Monica at Brett's Heart as well, because I saw her in the hall and she was asking me about it, and I said, this is what we got so far. And I'm happy, I can send that back out if people want to look at that again too. So that's as far as we've gotten, but yeah, I think that having joint meeting with the planning commission would be a good idea, but I don't know when that would be best. Like, we might want to have something first, or if it would be better to say, like, we're thinking about these things. Like, I don't know.
I think it would make sense that once we have some kind of a product, whether that be a map or what, we can then share that with them and begin a dialogue. I could see this being multiple meetings and a dialogue over time.
Right. Do you think that it'd be worthwhile talking to them sooner than later to say, we're doing this and other things you would like us to collect?
It's possible. I know that we did talk about meeting when we were contemplating applying for the municipal planning grant for a kind of a broader study. But we could just reach out to Kevin and let them know if Kevin, I'm not even sure if Kevin's still the chair, but just let them know that we're initiating these 2 tasks.
Okay, that's a good idea. I can do that.
So I have something that I'm going to send to Sophie, I think. I don't know if you can do this. It's from 7 Days. It was a very short article called Roadkill Recruits. And it mentions that the state of Vermont is working with an app and citizen scientists to report roadkills at specific locations where they find them. We talked about this last month before, something like that. But this database already exists. So I'll talk to Sophie and see what she knows about it.
That's great. Yeah, I think that working with Sophie tomorrow is going to be an amazing opportunity to ask her all of our questions, So I'm so glad you're able to join for that. So let me just go back to Lauren's questions for us. So she asks, what are we hoping to do with the results? And we've listed a few things and some future plans for those. What wildlife are we interested in? Are there specific species? We talked about the idea of doing more like umbrella species, right? But then, and then we had a list of them, and then that Sophie had thought of, and then I think Alexis had said that she was interested in doing pretty much anything that was out there. So I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question. I don't know.
It seems like it would be useful to focus it to some degree, on species that I don't, personally know enough to know why a lynx is an or why bobcat are indicator species, so to speak. But if they supposedly are, that makes them seeming like to focus on things like that, that'll tell you more about what other speakers are doing. It's a good idea.
This might be a really nice question to sort of throw back and to say, like, Lauren, like, talk to Sophie. When you have Sophie and Alexis outside tomorrow, like, that's the thing you should all talk about together and use that expertise to think about for us, maybe. Since that's outside of our realm.
Right? That makes sense.
And then the other one was tracking in winter biases toward those winter animals, but what about summer, spring? I think that Alexis has plans to do all sorts of camera trap stuff, so
Yeah.
I think that
Maybe ask her.
that's again, that
Yeah.
same idea. It's like that's the conversation should happen. Yeah. Cool. Okay, well I'll send that tonight then and be like, talk about this tomorrow.
Great.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay. Any other discussion we want to have about updating wildlife maps? Is that good?
I think so.
I think that's everything.
Forward.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, and they I think Alexis has told me then that she has Lauren working this semester. She's she's a senior, so she's just one semester. And then she'll be passing off what she has to, I think it's 2 students for fall that are going to do independent study projects with this to kind of keep that going so that it rolls over into next year spring being the focus of the senior seminar. And they're going to do some work with New Haven road crossings and most of the work with camera traps, with ecological knowledge surveys. Like, I don't know, that's gonna be a big group. It'll be a whole class and they'll have different mini projects they'll work on as their senior seminar experience. There's a capstone where they think about community and the ecology, and so she's gonna focus the whole class on that, and that's next year spring.
Cool.
So we're just like rolling this up into those projects, right, and getting steam until we do that. So just make sure we're ready for that class when that class comes. So I can get all the good data, all the good juicy data will come from that class then, is the hope. We can make some progress.
This is awesome.
I'm excited. I know, it's super cool. Oh yeah, and the Addie Indy asked me if I would do an interview about it because they saw it said in there, it was like Middlebury collaboration with Tracking Connection or something, and so I had someone had emailed me and said like, oh, let's do a story on this. I'm like, we have nothing to say yet. Let the collaboration happen and then we'd be happy to talk to you. Especially if we had a survey or something, or a map or a message at that time. I was like, it's been going for a while, let's like save it till there's something to say besides we're planning to do it. And Lauren knows that too, so she's been thinking about like what she would say, or what if there's a message she wants to get out about her project. Cool. So yeah. Okay, great. So that's what's happening there. And then if that's everything for that, are we good for wildlife? Okay, Helen, have so much fun. It's gonna be so awesome. It's gonna be such a cool day. Okay, next thing is parks updates, Eagle, Memorial, Sycamore, etc. I would like to start by saying that Freddie at the rec department is no longer working with the town of Bristol. There was
that was advertised.
Yeah, there were some family issues, and so he is no longer working with the town of Bristol. And Meredith asked that we are please patient with her, and she's trying really hard to do 2 jobs, and she feels very guilty that she can't do everything as fast as she would like to or be as involved as she would like to be normally. And so she was asking for our and the community's patience while she's trying to do 2 hards, and is just trying really hard right now, I think. So.
Well, not a huge update season anyway.
So Ben, what we wanted to talk about, if there were any generic updates, and then we were talking about maybe scheduling work days. So did anyone have any sort of generic updates first about any of the parks? FEMA, anything? I haven't seen an email about anything.
Yeah, there. With regard to the Eagle Park Universal Fishing Platform, the permits have been prepared for the Army Corps of Engineers and the stream alteration permit that's required, and so those will go in and be reviewed and approved, and then the construction will go out for bid this early spring, so that hopefully construction will happen this summer.
Okay, and then Kristen, with light to you trying to walk back from some of your BCC responsibilities, would it be appropriate to like pass some of that off to someone so that they could follow those emails as well? Or do you think we're pretty much through that's going to happen and we'll be done?
Yeah,
Like, do you think that like we should make like the person who knows about construction and fishing kind of help out with that? Just throwing that out there.
Dodge duties till this point.
Just saying.
and honestly, it's not that huge an effort. It's just it's CC'd on the emails that are going back and forth between FEMA and the engineer and Valerie. So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I'd be happy to let them know to add Alex to that team.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
That would be
can be
that'd be
CC.
great. Yeah. I just feel like it seems like a natural fit.
It's in my wheelhouse.
Cool. Thank you. So it's good to know that's going along, and I'm just trying to think of ways to like, help you have a clean exit. That'd be great.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so start reading those emails.
Yeah, you have to read
Just
And maybe
CC is not the whole
You need to read
thing.
the email.
Or if there's any like important key previous emails that we would want to know about. I don't know if there's like the old, maybe that plan or something, like anything that you have that's documents, like feel free to send out so we have those too, if you think that's useful.
Yeah, I'll just forward the documents that came in this week, which have the plans and the permit apps and so forth. I'll send that to you, Alex, and to you, Carolyn.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. It's great. But I'm not going to plan to read those.
Oh,
You're going to. Okay. I'll have them just in case. But. Okay. Schedule Eagle Park workday. Okay. So we were thinking then, anything else about updates? How about the town plan, the management plans? Do you want to maybe make that a new item for next month to talk about that, Kristen? Would that be like good for timing?
Yep.
Okay. Let me make sure I write that down. Okay, so we'll do those management plans we'll look at next time instead of talking about them right now unprompted. Okay, great. Anything else, or can we talk about workdays? Workday time? Yeah. Great. So there's 2 workdays we're kind of kicking around. So we were thinking, we had talked previously about Eagle Park having a workday for May, and at Sycamore Park to have a workday for April. And we had said maybe with the Scouts. Apparently, Meredith talked to Bill Mount about this very briefly in passing. She spoke with him, and Bill Mount runs the Scouts in town. And they had discussed that it would be best if they could do a day during April break to do a bush hogging cleanup. This is outside my house. Bush hog, I guess, is a word. And that's where they're going to take, like, they're going to like cut down all the knotweed. Is the hope that that can happen in more like late April or May. And so they were hoping they could do a cleanup, maybe, and like Jono had emailed us all about that, like maybe moving stumps, maybe moving rocks, maybe just getting garbage in there. I could do green up day bags early. I have them in my garage. We could pull some of those out early. If we want to do a cleanup, as well as like getting the space ready, if we could do a bush hogging. And that could be even thinking about that little garden. I'm not sure what work that could have in April, but so there's a lot to be done for a Sycamore Park workday. And if we did it during the Scouts April break week, then they thought that we'd have the boys could help out with that. That was their idea. We don't have to agree to that, but whatever they think. And Meredith was hoping that she could come to that as well, if it was that week. But she couldn't do Memorial Day, and neither could the Scouts.
Sounds great.
Yeah, that's a good.
So weekday.
I guess.
Is that what that sounds
yeah,
like?
I mean, I would have to be at work, and I'm sure other people would too. But yeah, that's what it sounds like they were thinking, weekday, which is a little awkward.
When is break?
That's a great question. Let me get my email open because I have a kid in the school system, so I should
It's
have
the
it listed.
last week of April.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the April 24th through 28th. And I don't know if that would be better to do like on like that Sunday, or if, because it's the students would prefer to do that Monday through Friday. I really have no sense of that. I don't know anything about the Scouts.
I mean, for us all, I'm sure it would be easier to do it on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
In general.
I don't know why you're looking at me, I don't work.
Right.
The
Other
collective
For
of
people
Everyone
that
else. I should not
work,
answer
for
that.
people that work, it'd be easier to do it on a Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah. For sure.
But, so that's why I was wondering, because it made
Yeah.
it seem like he was saying during the week.
Right.
Which
but we could
obviously, if
do-
it is during the week.
We could do like a morning, maybe. I don't know.
For an after work time, it's getting light then.
Yeah, we got till 6 o'clock.
Oh, that's a good point. We could do like
Like
later.
a-
Got longer than that. It's like today at 6 o'clock.
What time
Yeah, here, let me look it up. Let me look up what sunset is.
are most people done work?
Okay, while you're doing that, I just looked up knotweed control. And apparently
Okay.
cutting the above ground part does nothing to control the population. It just reduces
Right.
shade so that the little plantlets do really well. I would not, I mean, it depends on why they're planning to cut the knotweed. If they're hoping that it
Yes.
will control the population, they should not do it.
No, their thought process is that the plants, if we could make a path of knotweed, if we could cut down the paths, then it would be easier access, and you would have to do it every spring because it wouldn't stop the growth. It would just knock it down. But I think there was concerns that Meredith voiced about what if they needed to get like an emergency vehicle in there, that would be like more of a liability because you can't get anyone down those paths. And so she wants it to be wider for safety reasons, as well as just like public access reasons.
Yeah.
That was what she said.
Makes a lot of
Well,
sense.
and I think-
Sunset is 7:50 p.m. on April 26th.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we could do an
Yeah.
early evening, late
Yeah, should we
afternoon.
just ask them if a weekend is okay, and if not,
Okay.
can we do an afternoon during the week?
Yeah. Let me see if I've ever contacted this person before to see if I have his email.
While you're doing that, I think
Yep.
when we were at Sycamore Park, Jonna was kind of explaining, I think, to cut it down and then they're able to mow it. It sounded like to me that he wanted the mowing company to just mow so it keeps it short all the
Keep the
time.
knotweed short?
Yeah,
So you could like walk over it.
yeah,
Yeah. And then they wouldn't crowd and then shade in. So you're like walking
yeah.
the tunnel.
So it would kind of stop it from growing because you're mowing it every
Right,
time
that's
they mow.
right. That was
right?
their
Is that-
idea. Yeah, he was saying if you made the path wider, then you could get the mower in zip along the edges
'Cause I
every
think
time.
he
you mowed.
wanted to keep mowing
forgot about
the
that.
knotweed
That's right. I forgot
to
about
keep
that.
it down.
It might work.
So I think that was the idea behind all of that.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. But either way, we could still do a cleanup work day with the scouts,
Yeah.
even whether or not, depending on how we mow or what the plan is there. Yeah, if they would help out, that'd be great, right?
Mhm.
Sure, we could think of things. Oh man, Alex was so good at like knowing what had to happen, It's like such a loss. Like, what's even out there? What do we need to do, But I'm sure Jono has a lot of ideas about that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, because he walked around.
Okay, so I'm gonna contact Bill. I do have his email from I don't know when, so I'm gonna email him and ask him about a Sycamore Park workday, and I'll say, could we do a weekend? And if not, or could we do like a weekend out, like a Sunday afternoon, or could we just do after work at like a 4 o'clock or something? Or I don't know exactly, but I'll reach out.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, great. Okay,
And Eagle Park.
Eagle Park, yes. Eagle Park, we were thinking of a weekend or just a day. It doesn't have to be a weekend because it'll be even brighter. If we want to do a day in May at Eagle Park. At Eagle Park, we've often done that on the morning of Green Up Day, but I've requested we don't do it that day so we can hang out for Green Up Day. So that would be, there's a few different weekends, obviously. There's different weeks.
Wait, what
I don't
needs
know how
to be
to-
done at Eagle Park?
Every year at Eagle Park, we have to go and weed that, is it like native plants
Yeah,
or just
perennial.
perennials, I guess, perennial
Perennial.
plants? Yeah, there are perennials that grow along that walkway, like facing towards the
Yeah.
river down that hill. So we have to weed it, and then we always mulch it and cut back the sumac that encroaches from the side that's more wild. One of the major things.
May seems early to do that. I mean, last time we did that in the summer or late summer.
Only because we were late last year. Normally you do it on like Green Up Day.
Yeah, normally it's we've always,
Is that
yeah,
all
that's our tradition.
just right there? We don't do it, there's nothing
No,
farther
we
into
just
the
use
park?
park and like the normal parking
Yeah.
spot, and then we just
Because I was
put
there
like
last
mulch
week,
around
Or
and.
last year, Kristen and Jono
Mhm.
and Helen.
Yeah.
were there.
And I
Yeah.
think,
Okay, so it's just that.
and I think it does still make sense to do that, even though that area is going to be under construction at
That's
some
true.
point in the summer. Just because it will help us stay on top of the weeds that might come up into the perennial garden. And then we
Yeah.
might need to go back there, in other words, to do a little touch up in the late summer after they finish construction.
That makes sense, yeah. How people feel about the weekend after Green Up Day, or either Sunday, the 7th, right after Green Up Day, or the next weekend, or would you prefer an evening?
Looks like
For
Sunday
whatever.
the 14th is Mother's Day.
It's probably not that day.
So for those of us who have to go see our mothers on that day, probably not that day, but the 13th is.
Would you prefer a weekend, or would you prefer like an evening again? Would that be-
Evening would be.
Oh yeah, and we have a BCC meeting on
It's Turkey
May
season.
11th.
Yeah.
We have a May 11th
Then,
BCC
yeah, should we
meeting.
do our BCC?
So should we do like where we get there at 4 and then we start working and then we kind of have the meeting, we work and we hang out? Would that be
Yeah, that'd be
good?
fun.
Mhm.
Okay. I say that. I teach till 4:15, but you know, you can all do that. I'll get there as soon as I can.
So what are we saying, meeting at 4?
Let's meet at 4-ish through meeting time, but then like we'll kind of hold the meeting officially there, but maybe like we'll kind of talk and dig at the same time, depending on how much we need to do
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
We can bring some picnic dinner stuff maybe, and like have a quick meeting while we sit around and picnic, and then go back to work if we need to, or I don't know, we'll see how the flow of the day goes.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
That'd be good. Potluck picnic, would that be fun?
yeah, totally.
Eagle Park cleanup / potluck cleanup / meeting. And then if it rains, we'll, it's early enough still that we can postpone for a few days later or something, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think it was pouring last year on that day, right? Okay, great. Okay, that sounds like a lovely event. And then I'll be in touch about that April day. Either way, it would be after our next meeting anyway,
Yeah.
so. Okay, great. Anything else about parks before we do mowing at parks? Anyone else about straight up parks? Okay, great. Let me make sure I don't have anything else. Yeah, I still have more on the brush hogging, maybe, but it kind of is part of mowing. So let's just move to
Yeah.
mowing, I think, yeah. Okay, mowing, continued discussion of no mow May possibilities. So Helen and Jono were sort of leading the charge on this one. Helen, were you able to get into contact with the Energy Committee or Richard Butts?
Yes, let me think what he said. They have no money. I know that they can't contribute any funds, but they were behind us all the way. And I think it was just keep us informed what you're going to do, and we'll see how we can help out.
Cool.
I submitted a budget to Neat Repeats to ask them for funding for signage for a total of about $270. And I haven't heard back from them yet.
Okay. You know, we also could consider seeing if the National Bank had any funds for something like that, if we put their name on the sign. I know they've been receptive to some, you know, small amounts of money in the past to sponsor things. And that could be an option too. I don't know. I mean, John wrote them an email once and they said yes immediately. I couldn't believe it. I was like floored that worked. So maybe this would be something they'd be interested in. I don't know. I had a conversation with Meredith about this yesterday. And I know that Jono has written a really long email about it. So if you want to talk about Jono's email first, and I could tell you what Meredith wanted me to say.
Sure.
Let's start with Meredith.
What was
Jono's
that?
just goes on. Let's start with Meredith.
Okay. Here's what Meredith asked me to say. She said that she believes that Sycamore is very busy and that it may be busier than we realized. She was talking to the mowing guys. I don't know who they are, just the mowing guys. And that they actually told her they always mow really early at Sycamore because if they do it later, there's always people on the fields and don't want to disrupt them. So she told me that she thinks the Sycamore is used a lot. And that she asks that we please do Eagle Park for our first no-mow experiment because it's used less, and I think she's feeling overwhelmed and is worried about what that would look like at Sycamore. And she told me to tell you that she would please ask us to do Eagle instead of Sycamore for our first time and see how it goes. But we don't have to decide anything right now. We said we would decide in April, but that's what she asked me to say to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I feel bad taking green space away from people that want to play and use it, even though it is important for the not to mow, but like somehow finding a balance there.
Yeah.
Because people need that space to play or whatever they do.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Walk
it's
your
always,
dogs,
always useful for us to remember that we're a commission that serves the whole town. And like Meredith says, I think this park does get a lot of use by a variety of folks. And for that reason, maybe we should begin, as Meredith says, with a smaller project, but also in the meantime, get a better sense for how Sycamore Park is used and how a plan like this would impact people's use of the park.
Yeah, my sense would be that there's so many nooks and crannies of Sycamore that you find some, there's places that you could not mow and wouldn't bother anybody. But I don't really know that. I've never, I don't hang there on Saturday morning very often, and I don't know, maybe there are people throwing frisbees on every corner of that property. Kind of got to know, I guess, first before planning whether we do proceed there or not.
Yeah. So I feel like, I know she's in a tough place, like doing a lot of work right now. And I feel like it would be polite to our relationship with them to do that at Eagle as opposed to Sycamore, because she asked, and it's important, I think, to work well with them. But if people feel strongly the other way, I know John is not here, of course, and so I want to hear what he has to say, but just so you know that was her perspective.
Good to start with Eagle. I think it makes sense, especially if it is less used.
Yeah.
One of the points behind No Mow May and the signage for it is to educate people in our community about species that live here that aren't human. And saying, well, let's use a park that nobody uses so that they won't mind that the grass is long. It defeats the purpose of having a No Mow May.
It does help us.
I'm not sure that it defeats the purpose if it's a public park where we're experimenting with this approach, and we can have signs right there at Eagle Park to increase awareness of this. And I think we can also, just as individuals, be implementing this on our own properties and maybe putting the signs up as we've been talking about. So I think we can get the word out and spread the word in those ways.
That's kind of what I don't know, when we talked about it, is doing both, like no-mow at some of the parks, but also doing like the community and educating them to not do their own personal yards, and doing, smaller signs for them and encouraging that, as well as at the parks too. Is that? what everyone else was kind of thinking.
Yeah, I don't
Is
think
that the
that the
same
Eagle
page?
Park is certainly used, just not, the green space isn't used
Yes.
as much as the green space at Sycamore. But the park itself is used a lot. I mean, there's always people in that parking lot.
That's true.
Right, but there's like maybe other things to do.
That's what I mean though, is that
With
like,
the
I think people will
river
still see the signs, know that it's happening, just not be like, not, their activities won't change
Yeah.
necessarily.
But it's no doubt though, Ellen's right,
Yeah.
the highest visibility park is Sycamore for sure. And if we are trying to get that message out, maybe something really small at Sycamore, like one of those little cul-de-sacs that was unmowed with a sign and a little poster there, it would reach more people, there's no two ways about it.
Well, we can put it by the pollinator garden as well,
Yeah.
so we can still have the sign as we work through what we're gonna do with Sycamore.
I like
I
that.
mean, could we have a patch that's highly visible, like right in front where the kiosk is on the Ponder Garden, and say, no mow May here and at Eagle Park? And frankly, it would be the size of a couple lawns worth, just that front area. But then you can walk through it and still play and do what you want to
Yeah, you
do.
got
Right past there.
100
Like,
acres
I mean,
of
it's-
yard to play in after
Like
that.
maybe it
It's
could be
just
more
grass,
like,
so it won't be that long.
yeah.
Yeah.
If we just want to do it more like,
Yeah.
to make a point,
Right.
but still leave the space open, maybe that's a hedge we could use.
Yeah.
That's our advertising no mow May,
Yeah.
and then our
Yeah.
carbon storage no mow May is a deal.
Yeah.
But we don't have to decide
Does that-
anything, and I know,
Helen?
Jono.
Does that kind of fit? I don't know. With what you were thinking? A
Sure.
compromise a little bit?
Well, we
But there's
wrote,
no need to decide anything today. We can decide in April still at our meeting.
well, you're getting pretty close then to no mow May. You've got to have signs, you got to know what you're doing. We then have a week to decide what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So
Yeah. Let's see. Our April meeting would be on the 13th. Just so we have that.
So yeah.
and I wrote a budget for 10 large signs with
Like
stamps.
the campaign signs. Like,
For
Yeah.
10 would be plenty for a section of Sycamore Park and a section of Eagle Park.
and I don't know if we rules and regulations on putting it other parts of the town too, just to advertise and bring awareness.
Yeah, what about something
Because
like the
that's-
town, the center?
Right, because
By the playground.
Yeah, would
I saw a random sign last year. I don't know where. I can't remember. But I saw a sign, and that's how I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Didn't we talk
So-
about like trying to figure out if we could find a budget for lawn signs that we could give out?
Yes, that's part of this.
That's what
Yeah, so
comes
that
Gotcha.
is so.
Oh, I thought you just were
so-
talking about 10
I think
big
the thinking
signs
was like
just for-
bigger signs to put so people can
Gotcha,
see
gotcha.
them while they're going places.
I did, yeah. Okay.
And then little signs for people to put in their yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they can pick up at Green Up Day.
Do they pick up at Green Up Day?
Yeah, I
They
thought
can
that was
drive
the plan.
around. Yeah.
When you only said the 10, I didn't realize that you were also including the other.
I figure it's the big ones because it's easier to see than putting
Yeah.
like one of these in the, then
No one ever
people,
reads those.
especially like driving by, I don't know if there's places we can put.
I think Kristen would like
Kristen's got
to
a point
say
to
something.
Just,
The chair recognizes Kristen.
I love all the discussion notes, but I just wanted to make the point and maybe ask the question about the grant application to meet repeats. I know that many of us are new to the membership, but if that grant application was written under the auspices of the Conservation Commission, technically every grant application needs to be approved by the select board, no matter the value. So just be aware of that going forward, that any grant application needs to be passed by the select board for approval.
Wow. Last meeting, I was asked, when I asked, someone even said, well, Need Repeats does funding. And they said, well, just write a letter. All you have to do is submit a letter. So I did that. I mailed it to
I think
Carol.
in
She
good
said, "That's
faith,
fine, send
I
it
didn't
in."
know that.
Right, yeah, I'm sure, I guess I missed that, but yeah, every grant application we've written before has needed select board approval there's an actual form, and Valerie has a copy of that form, so you have to kind of process it, and it may have been a small enough amount that it wouldn't necessarily have had to go before the select board, as long as Valerie saw it first, but just be aware of that. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last one.
Good to know. Thank you, Kristen, for telling us
I
that.
am not going to go to the National Bank of Middlebury and ask them for money. Somebody else can start the process.
Jono wrote the letter and it worked, and I didn't know anything about
Yeah,
that.
I think that's a different process, really. I mean, if we're asking for a donation from an entity, a business entity like that, but if you're applying for a grant, that's when we need to have town approval.
This is very good information to learn before you leave.
I know, right?
Otherwise,
Like,
we would just bring
that's
throwing
why
grants
I
out.
know. You have to like put a straw in your brain and suck it all out, you know? Okay, well, good to know. Thank you. In good faith, though, we didn't know that, so
Absolutely.
it's all good. Okay, so do we want to make some kind of decision? Do we want to wait to talk with Jono on the 13th? Do we feel like we have time on the 13th?
Well, and yeah, do we, if we are gonna do anything at Sycamore, do we owe it to Meredith to let her know soon?
Yeah.
Does that affect what she's, does that affect her daily comings and goings at all to know early?
Probably the portalet stuff is right in that area. So she would probably care about that.
The nice part is between the April meeting and May, we will have that workday at Sycamore Park. So if we would need to put up like a barrier for where we're gonna do the No-Mow May, if it's just gonna be a patch in the front, then we can do that during that day.
When do they start mowing? In
I
general,
don't.
just like a company, like when,
I bet
do we know
very
when?
early May or.
I don't think
When
I
they'd
have.
start.
I don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably around then though, so we should, so that we can relay that information to the mowing company.
Yeah.
Well, Meredith can, but.
Yeah. Would you want to maybe say we'll do the No-Mow at Eagle, and then we'll ask her if it would be okay if we did a small patch, like for like the advertising sake of it at Sycamore? Should we just like ask
Yeah,
her about
on
that?
that.
Yeah,
Would that be a
I think
good
so.
decision on that?
Probably help her out.
Yeah. Would you feel okay about that, Helen?
It doesn't matter. I mean, if we're voting, I'm outvoted no matter what, so it really doesn't matter. Sure. I think
Well,
the
but if you
sooner-
really
the
feel
sooner we
strongly and like
decide
this
what-
is,
The sooner we decide what we're gonna do, the sooner we can let Meredith know, and the more likely it is it will not be mowed. If we don't say anything till the end of April, it may be mowed. That
Right.
defeats the purpose of not
Mhm.
mowing it. So I think we've got to, and if you'd like, I'll go out there with some flagging and some pin flags and denote an area.
okay, yeah, that'd be great. Why don't we, what if I email Meredith and I include you and Jono, and we'll sort of throw this plan out, and then we'll say that we can flag off an area if that's okay with her, and we can suggest what, and she can help us think about what areas to flag off or something.
Perfect.
Would that be good? Okay, okay.
But I think that needs to be done before late April, because my fear is they will mow before
Yeah.
then, and then.
Okay.
Not mow.
Yeah.
I mean, the no-mow May is a mnemonic. What it really means is, don't mow this in the spring, because pollinators need the flowers that are growing there. So don't mow in April either. If it's really warm, don't mow in March either. But nobody's proposing don't mow, no mow spring. It's just because April and May rolls off the tongue.
Okay. Okay, so I'll send that email and get the ball rolling on that, and then maybe Helen Jono can work on some details with Meredith about that, and then I think that would be a nice thing for Meredith's sake to make her life easier and
'Cause
maintain
she's
some good relationships there.
Over it. She kind of has final decision, right? Of the park.
Yeah, and like we would still have to pay the difference for the mowing and everything. And we were thinking we would do that through the EDA Stock Trust because it would be about pollinators and wildlife
Yeah.
and stuff. So
I'm still a little confused as to how not mowing it costs more money. Because even
they say that
even
that's
if you
a
gotta mow
long
it twice
grass.
afterwards, you didn't mow it for a month and a half.
But I don't think you have to. I mean, I don't think it grows that much. It's regular grass.
Yeah, I mean, how much?
Maybe we'll find out.
That's why it's an
Charge
experiment
people
year,
for not traveling
right?
to bedrooms. This doesn't make any sense to me.
That's why it's an experiment, and we'll see how it goes.
Back to Eagle Park, we could do just part of Eagle Park as well. We don't have to do the whole grassy area. We could
At
choose.
Eagle Park, though, because it's up higher, by the end of May, I mean, like, it's not going to be that high. It's going to be like
The
one
normal
mow.
May is kind of meaningless at Eagle Park because you don't mow in May anyway.
Well, I think you do, but like, I think they do in general because they're quite excited about their mowers usually, but but like, you know, it'll still be high and they'll still get the flowers, but it just won't be as, it's not, I don't feel like it's gonna hurt the mowers or take two mowings or.
Well, and could we cut down on the mowing? That was kind of talked about, especially like at Eagle Park where it doesn't grow as much, to cut down on that, the usage of the mowers, the carbon
Frequency of
emissions.
mowing in the summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the emissions part of that. Because I can't imagine it grows that fast. Unless they have a tick problem, because that's
That's
a
true.
good reason to mow your lawn.
Why don't we start with the mowing and the stopping mowing in Eagle, a large parcel in the front of Sycamore is like an advertisement with some signage and stuff. See how that goes. See how the billing goes. See if it's more expensive. See if they're willing to play ball with us or if they're get grouchy about it, right? Like maybe we just use this as an experiment year and then we can see for next year, like, can we ramp this up? Could we have a no mowed parcel on the green? That would be high profile. Do we do a different park? Like, is it really expensive? Does it work out in the end kind of the same? Like maybe we can, this is an experiment year,
Yeah.
right? It's like a trial.
Yeah.
So I'll start the ball rolling with that email and we'll see how that goes. I think it's like our trial spring, right? The town's been here for like 200 something years. So one spring is a trial seems like a good start, right? Besides, you have a very high profile lawn, so just
Yeah,
your
we
sign.
never mow it.
Yeah, we advertise all the time.
And let
We
me
just
tell
need
you,
the signs.
the 2 times a year that I mow our lawn with our little wimpy electric mower, I would still just go back and forth a couple times and it's mowed. It's not a great production.
You do have to go inside and charge the chargers way more often when we have
Yes.
which is always.
I feel like we never mow, but no one sees our house because we're in the woods. It doesn't like help anything.
We'll take one of the big signs at our house.
Okay, and then the other thing was this brush hogging idea, which I think is a good idea, especially if there's this idea about emergency crews going into the water, and they're going to calculate the cost of that. And I think that would be something that I think that would be a rec budget thing that they would try to figure out the cost of what it would be to go through there. I'm not entirely certain. She's waiting for a quote from them, and we may hear more about that in April or maybe through emails, that we can have that conversation. Or work. I don't know the timeline on all that. I think that was something John and Meredith talked about, and I got pieces of the emails. I don't really feel comfortable too much about that. Yeah, we'll let our future vice chair worry about that.
And so in fact, Jono's 5-point discussion of building is totally moot. It's not relevant if we're not going to do it at Sycamore Park. So let's just table.
But he does have the brush hogging thing in there, though, doesn't he? Wasn't that in that email?
Yeah.
With the
It's
water
irrelevant.
access?
we're not gonna do any of that.
Wasn't he having brush hogging though to the water and back? Wasn't that in that email?
Yeah, I'll check that.
Yeah, let me find it.
Yes. Paths from the mowed areas in the park through the knotweed to the river might be better brushed hog, but this has nothing to do with no mow May. This is just Sycamore Park.
No, yeah, that's Sycamore Park mowing, which was just under that same. We didn't really finish that conversation yet about the brush hogging to the water.
Right.
And I wasn't sure if Jono's email had comments on that specifically that could be useful. But maybe that's what we're just gonna wait for the rec department to figure out with the mowers. And I think it makes sense if they could get through there for recreation purposes and for safety issues, but it doesn't have a lot to do with conservation per se.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just let that lie for now, and we'll see what they come up with on that.
I feel like in the future it'd be helpful maybe if we did all kind of walk around in the park and see and talk about options.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe
That
we
would be
should
something-
make
I mean,
part
that's
of
obviously
that
it.
would be
not
a
right
good
now,
thing
but,
to
like-
do this summer, is to
Yeah.
think about like, how is Nomo going? And then like, or how did it go? And then like, let's look at the park and like, think about some of the details.
Because I feel like I said, there are probably spots that we could not know.
Yeah, maybe we should
Oh, yeah,
do one of
probably-
our summer meetings, like at the park,
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
yeah, not
When
as a
you're
work
gonna
day,
be
just
there.
as.
even June or something.
Yeah.
I'll be
Good places,
waddling
right?
along
I could-
behind you guys.
I could follow along on Jono's
Days.
handwritten map.
Put
It'll
you
be
in
fun.
labor and all that walking around the
Get
park.
that baby right out.
Okay,
Don't have it.
so I think that's everything for the mowing discussion at the moment. Is that correct? Okay. Peace Garden is looking to grow their membership. So, they were able, I've written many emails with the Peace Garden over the past several weeks. And at this time, they are going to have me drop off some leaflets for the welcome bags that Porter Knight will be handing out in the next week. There are 62 of those, I believe. And Porter also was able to send out a draft of their brochure to her Bristol Trail Network membership. They're trying to get more money to maybe make like a nice brochure. They have asked us, I think at this point, have asked us not to print a flyer for them to hang up with Green Up Day stuff, because they said they've gotten so much response from their Front Porch Forum post already. They've gotten 10 new members since they talked to us, that
Young
they feel like they are good on members at the moment, although I will still pass out the, I have for the welcome bag flyers right here. So I'm gonna drop those off at Porter's after
What
the
are the
meeting.
welcome bags? I don't know anything about welcome bags.
Oh, the welcome bags. Meredith and Porter Knight have this cooked up idea that they do these welcome bags. That's really nice. I know Nancy didn't get one, and she's a little salty about it sometimes.
Well, they mentioned it like right after we moved. I moved in, and I was like, "Well, where's my local bag?" And then they didn't do them.
Maybe you're in this batch. Maybe you're gonna get one, and you're gonna just like weep with like the joy of finally getting one. You'll be like, I've lived it for a year or two. I'm good. They have these canvas bags. I think they say, I forgot if they're the ones that say Bristol Best Town Ever, or if they're just doing plain bags. I can't remember, but they do a bag. And they have it all full of like that map that you get when you leave the Bobcat. They've got different handouts about Bristol, about the library and the family passes and the whatever they got available.
Options.
Trash options are in there. That's right. Yeah. And they have all sorts of stuff in this bag. And then they stuff the bags and then they drop them off at people that have, I think, bought houses. I think they do it as houses, right? So they drop them off all the new homeowners' houses, and they just think it's like this giggly, fun thing. They zigzag around town, running and dropping the bags off, and it's like a cool
Someday
welcome to town thing.
Had our little wildlife
Yeah,
brochure in it.
that's a goal for
For
the
next
winter,
year.
For the wildlife
Yeah.
corridors.
Yeah,
Don't mow your lawn.
there you go.
Don't.
Yeah.
So Nancy made these little flyers for the Peace Garden. So calling all gardeners, we're going to pass those out in the welcome bags on behalf of the Peace Garden. And it sounds like the new thing they want more of is people that can help them with a long-term management plan, maybe a website, maybe someone to do structural things. I don't really know the extent, but I'd offered if they give me something to pass out, I'm happy to pass it out or put up a flyer. But I got an email just before the meeting that said that they didn't think they wanted that help anymore. They feel like they're doing well. And I said, that's great. And so I think that will just be letting them continue that on their own. If they need help, we can help them out. But I think that that's where we'll end with the assistance that they requested for now.
Great.
And then I think that's everything for that. Great. So we can remove that agenda item in the future, I believe. And then there's been many emails. So I think that's where we're standing right now. Green Up Day. Anyone else about Peace Garden? Any Peace Garden thoughts? We're going to move on. Green Up Day is Saturday, May 6th. And so the hope is that we can hang up some kind of a no-mow flyer. Meredith told me she can make color copy flyers for 10 cents each on the printer just here. So we can do some flyers that we can hang up when we hang up the Green Up Day bags, the Green Up Day posters. So Green Up Day sends me like a dozen of these, and then they get hung up in the various like library and the banks, and like by that can redemption area, there's all those flyers, any place you can put a flyer, inside the bakery window, that kind of thing. I hung them up, I think 1 or 2 years, and then Alex took over. And so I was hopeful that Freddie would hang those up, but that is no longer an option. So I was wondering if one of you fine people would be able to volunteer to hang up flyers around town. Anyone? And then also hang up a no-mow thing. Could you do that?
Yeah, I'll do it with you. We can
Okay.
have
The
boys come with
strollers.
you.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
When I hung them up, we had the boys in the strollers.
Yeah.
So. That'd be great. Okay, cool. So when I get those, I'll probably just drop them at your house because you're in town, or I'll let my mom bring them to the library.
Yeah, just send it to your mom.
Your
Mom
mom.
all the time.
I'll send him in the diaper bag, and then we'll just hang them up. And then if we have a mow flyer at that time too, because I think that'll be in April, will be when those get hung up usually. But I don't have them yet. When I get them, I'll let you know, and then you can do it. I have no control of it. There's all of a sudden, they just ship things to my house. And I just like all of a sudden these things just show up with no warning. So that's just a timeline. And then in terms of helping and getting the word out for that, if anyone wanted to do anything with like some social media stuff, that would be great if anyone wanted to do that. Otherwise, I was going to do Front Porch Forum. We have the posters, and then do the sort of normal Bristol Elementary, Red Cedar School, and the library pickup spot, and then Holly Hall pickup. We're going to do those indoors though this year, and hopefully what we can do is have people sign up and say where they're going to go and maybe approximate mileage they're going to cover. There's some data that we haven't been collecting because of COVID that we used to collect, so we're going to see if we can get people to do that, such that if we can have people write down where they're going to go. Oh, I'm going to be on whatever, this road or whatever. Then when we are there at the table and people come up that day, if they come that day, I mean, it's a weird, because it's the first year in person, people might not remember the table. We can have big maps that I have in my attic from the Addison County Regional Planning Commission, and we can say like, no one's really gone on Notch this year. Why don't you there? Oh, there's that turnaround down on 7, go over that way, right?
Because they're pre-signing up when they get the bag, right? Is
when
that
they
what you
go
were
to
just
the
saying?
town, so you go to the town, and I have like a clipboard, and they go on the clipboard and they say like, I want 4, I think I have to do name and then clip, and then the number of bags, where they plan to go. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what else I do. Yeah, there's some other data they want all sorts of data. So maybe like the approximate distance you're going to travel or something. I think people ask that sometimes. I have this data sheet, and so people fill that out, and then they like and then Sharon hands on the bag, and then they go do it.
Okay.
And we haven't collected any data for years, and it'd be nice if Green Up Day could get that information, because then when they write grants, they say we've covered over however many miles, and we've done whatever % of towns, and like, which we don't have that data to give them right now.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to collect that again. So we'll try to do that when we do the drop-offs or pickups this year. If anyone is associated with a church or the high school, I don't have, my high school contact is gone. If someone knows a group, I would love to give your group bags. If you want to get a group going. Again, another thing that we're missing because of Freddie was that we had hoped to do something with the hub and Sycamore. That's not going to happen anymore. Maybe we can do some early picking up at Sycamore for that work day.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what the numbers look like and, kind of thing. But
Mount Abe has an environmental club. I don't know the official
Awesome.
name. Teresa Boucher, something like that.
French, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
If we want to
Cool.
see if we want to assign them a spot.
That would be
or something,
awesome. Yeah.
too.
Yeah, if you want to give me the contact info or if you want to contact them, either way, it's something on board.
Okay.
I went and talked to the environmental club one year and they got excited, and then we had one division, like I think there's like a half of the junior high teams or something. They went out and did something and it was great. And I think they did Stony Hill, which is a little dangerous, but they seemed to do it and had a good time with it. So I don't know.
Okay.
And some of the grounds around the school and things. So yeah, the more, if we can get big groups, we had, I think it was New Haven River Anglers, I think, did a big river cleanup one year, and they pulled all these bags out. And then they came back up. I think they took 20 bags, and they came back for 10 more bags. They were just going nuts. That was really nice.
They sound to be defunct.
It's too bad.
I'm working for one of the guys on that right now. It sounds like they're kind of folding up.
Well, if you
Not a lot of
have,
young blood.
if you do have a group though,
I'll make a
or if
flyer
anyone
for
does.
them.
Tell them that if they want new members.
I'll make a flyer.
We are
for them.
really good.
Yeah.
We bring the members, just not to our own group, but to other groups.
Putting in
Okay.
a welcome bag.
That's right. Okay, so that's where I'm at right now.
And I did hear from Bristol Core, and they are also not interested in doing the expo this year, which I know we're past that point, but I did hear back from
Wait
them
for
this
back.
month.
Okay, good to know.
But they said contact us next year.
Perfect. Yeah, because they haven't done POCOC in a couple of years now, and they're
Yeah,
trying to ramp up to do that in
yeah.
June. So it's all new for them to run that. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it's too many events. at the same
I'm
time.
sure.
I'm going to log
Okay.
off and join the Bristol Democrats for their.
Perfect. We are just about to adjourn, I believe. So that's perfect. See you, Helen.
Bye.
Good luck tomorrow. Have fun. Oh, she's gone. Okay. I think that's. Is there anything else anyone wants to say? I thought when we hang the flyers, we could do the no mill flyer with it, because I think
Yeah.
the Peace Garden doesn't want our flyer anymore, so that's fine. And if you have a draft, you can send it to me, and I'll send it to them if
Yeah.
you want, or you could just
Either
not.
way.
I don't know how far you want the draft, so.
It's not edited at all.
Okay.
It's just written up.
Okay.
So
Sounds good. And then anything else about Green Up Day anyone wants to say? Okay, great. Any events? None.
No,
None
other
of
than the
them.
work days and Green Up Day.
Okay, sounds good. Oh yeah, I guess we do have events. You're like listing all these events.
Good.
Good. You got them all written down?
But
Good.
nothing
Okay,
before
I
our
have
next
it
meeting.
written down to write them down.
got it. And then our next meeting is April 13th, 2023. And I wrote still planning on Holly Hall with Zoom option. Is it too cold to have an outside meeting? It's probably too cold.
Go either way.
Either way,
3 weeks ago,
yeah.
we could have had one.
Yeah, that's true.
A week later, we'd be.
Maybe we'll just do an inside meeting to play it safe, and then that May one we'll do at the park and do like a welcome back, and we'll do
Yeah.
like a potluck dinner picnic thing, and we'll do
Sounds great.
some digging and stuff.
April can be right on the edge.
Yeah,
You never know. Probably nice.
Good.
Yeah,
It's going to be because we plan on inside.
Exactly.
yeah. Well, we'll bring the kids, give them rakes. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a hoot.
Cool. A hoot. Okay, sounds great. That leads us to adjournment. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
There's a second. All those in favor? The meeting is adjourned.